It's just not something I want to do. Today, I want to talk to you about some of the features that are already in place on eBay to make your life easier, to create less work for you, things that are going to help you by freeing up some space in your brain and freeing up some time in your day. There are a lot of complaints I hear on various YouTube podcasts or just in Instagram posts about the things that irritate them about eBay. And then also, there are many, many different opinions on how to handle these issues. One thing that eBay does is they set up automations. They set up your preferences on how you'd like to communicate and handle various things with your buyers. This makes things so much easier, and you can choose which ones you want to use and which ones you don't. I know it sounds impersonal to have eBay automate it for you, but I have found this helps me a lot. So I recorded my screen of me kind of going through these various places, but just basically giving you the step by step of what you can do to just make it easier. So, first of all, a lot of people don't even know where to go to find this stuff. And there are actually two places. So, let me get this started. I am working with two monitors here, so just give me a second. I've got one up on my other monitor, and then I've got this. So you have your seller hub, and this has all this information. There's a place called shortcuts. When you click on that, there's site preferences, and it takes you to this whole list of things that are your selling preferences. Okay? There's another way to get to it. If you go to account settings and underneath selling, the same things are here under selling preferences. So I just got to the same page two different ways. It gives you all of these things that you can edit and automate. So automate feedback. I don't do this yet. It's just not something I do. You can choose to automatically leave positive feedback. You can choose to do that as soon as they pay, or you can choose to leave the feedback after they leave you feedback. So that's an option for you. The other thing you can do is edit those stored comments. You know, when you go to leave feedback and there's some options there, and some of them were already written by eBay. Well, they're the same ones everybody uses, right? So you can edit these stored comments. You can add more. So here we go. Here's the ones that are already on mine. I'm not sure if they're the same for you, but they were the ones that were already there. And I don't know, let's write a couple more that are more your personality. Also, I like to have kind of a neutral one. Like, yeah, no, this buyer was not perfect, but they were fine. So, I'll write something a little more like less effusive for these people that I don't, you can't leave negative feedback for a buyer, right? But maybe something a little more basic for the person who wasn't easy to deal with. So I'm just writing a couple in here for the example, and you can go up there and save, and you can have 10 different feedbacks. You can have one for clothing, one for toys, one for electronics. You can have one for repeat buyers if you want to. So you have lots of different options, to do for this. I'm just writing a couple right now off the top of my head. Buyers like you make my job more fun. So you can go through and then you can save that. And you'll have some pre-written feedback. Looks like you can have about 10 of those. So also, you can change your return preferences. I have not done anything with this on return preferences personally because I accept all returns. I have top rated status, top rated plus, and I've chosen to accept all returns. But this is interesting to me because I actually didn't know about this feature. You can make it so that I'm changing mine here to that if it's defective and if it has arrived damaged and it's less than $10, I'm just going to give them the refund. I don't even have to review it. You may choose to not do that. I was just doing this to kind of play with the settings because they give you the options right here of what you can do. You can just automatically send them a refund, let them keep it if these are the features. So turn that on. The other thing is you can automatically approve returns. Now, I already have 100% all my returns are automatically approved, but you can go through and say, yes, I'll approve the returns. This way you don't have to deal with the INAD situation, item not as described, people filing a complaint against you. If it arrives in some of these, like doesn't fit, if you don't accept returns, then don't accept returns. But you can accept returns for various reasons. Okay. Look, let's go to advanced return rules. You can set up your own rule to automatically send refunds, to automatically approve for all these various things. And you can just go through and play around with this feature. I did not end up saving here, but I was just playing around with it just to see what it did. So that's a feature that a lot of people don't know about. Okay, let's go back to some of these other selling preferences. Preferences for items awaiting payment. This is the big one. This is the one that I did a whole Instagram post on, and this is the one that I want to teach more people about, because I can't tell you how many times that I see complaints about, well, it's been a week and they still haven't paid, and then they messaged me, and then I've sent them reminders and they still haven't paid, and etc., etc., etc. So I made an Instagram post about this, and I would really love it if more people utilized these features, in my opinion. And eBay makes it fairly easy for you to make this work for you. All right, let's get this, show you my screen of what goes on here. Preferences for items awaiting payment. Automatically cancel unpaid items. See, select that. Look at this. You can choose 4, 7, 11, 19, 27, or 30 days. So I choose 4. I'm sorry, I don't have the time to deal with it longer than that. 7 days I think is perfectly acceptable too, especially if maybe you're dealing with very expensive higher end items and people just have to take the time to get the money. Once upon a time, eBay was not an instant pay situation. That's another part of selling that I'm not necessarily covering on this one. I think it's underneath business policies. You can choose buyer must immediately pay. And I don't personally have that selected, because what that does is that prevents people from shopping in your store more. So I don't require immediate payment, but you can require immediate payment. This applies to auctions and offers, because currently you do not have to immediately pay on an offer. Okay, so you can choose in your business policy, you can say require immediate payment, and that will solve a lot of your problems as well. So select how long buyers have to pay for items. After that time, items still awaiting payment are automatically canceled. I have mine set to 4 days. I don't think about it in that 4 days. One time, and I have no idea why, it was a couple months ago, I had an item. I was like, I think it's 4 days. And it was 5 or 6, and eBay never canceled it. I have no idea why, but this is what I have set up on this system right here. Okay. Automatically relist canceled items. Occasionally it won't relist though, and it will tell you if it hasn't. So please go back and check. Look at this. This is another thing that's interesting. If you want to exclude buyers from having their items awaiting payment automatically canceled, list them here. This person, I don't know why they're on my list, but I'm assuming they said something to me like, I will pay Friday, and I knew it was going to automatically cancel on like a Wednesday or Thursday. So if you'll see here, I'm going to remove them because they've already purchased whatever that was. So if there's somebody that comes to you and says, I need 1 more day, usually that's not a big deal. So this is where you would go to add somebody, or if you have a regular buyer who's, never a problem and you don't want them to get mad at you for doing the cancellation, you would put that regular buyer there. Or if you have a friend, you bought one of your friends and you're like, I don't want them to have to deal with this. Okay. So this is for underselling preferences, preferences for waiting items awaiting payment. Then the next thing that you need to do is you need to go down to your buyers. We're going to edit managing who can buy from you. This is where you find, and I usually end up Googling this, but this is where you find it. It's actually, you can get there two ways. I'll show you the second way in a minute. Blocked buyer list. So these are, let's talk about your buyer requirements. So sometimes you have somebody who's like, I can't buy from you. I don't know why. They probably have dings, that's the word I use. They probably have something on their account. You can set up your buyer requirements to who can actually buy from you based on their status, based on their past performance. So, buyer requirements exemption list. Let's say somebody has messaged you and they're saying, I'll give you an example, I'll tell a story. I had a lady message and says, I can't buy from you. I don't know why. It's probably because 3 months ago I was in a car accident and I didn't pay for like 4 different auctions. And, you know, so I'm on the list and people won't sell to me because there was 4 auctions I didn't pay for because I was in a car accident. Chatted with this lady a little bit in messages. I added her to my buyer exemption list. Turned out she flaked and she didn't end up buying the thing that she told me she would. And then she came back and she was angry with me for not being a very supportive person and understanding of her disability. And I added her to my blocked buyer list. But hopefully your situation is better. You have somebody who said, look, whatever. If you want to believe them or not, it's up to you. So you can make an exemption to your buyer requirements by just putting their name up there. And you can do it temporarily. And if it turns out they don't end up buying your item, you can take that off. So these are the requirements that you can choose. I was just talking to someone recently and I had mine set to the 12-month. And then I started to think about it. 12 months ago, that's a long time ago. You could have been going through a divorce. You could have been sick. You could have been doing a lot of different things. So I just recently changed mine to 6 months because, someone could have still been in college, not had a job, whatever, 12 months ago. So your options here is you can say 2, 3, 4, or 5 cancellations in a 1, 6, or 12-month period. So you decide how you want that to be. If you want it to be the full year, that's fine. You can also block buyers based on shipping. I've never really understood this blocking buyers who are currently winning or bought one of my items in the last 10 days, unless you offer maybe a rare item like Pokemon cards and you don't want them sniping them all. You want to allow other people to get your Pokemon cards. I don't know, but that's another option. And this other one is don't allow your blocked buyers to contact me. So if you've blocked somebody, they can't buy something. I really don't want them messaging me and bugging me about why they can't buy the item. I blocked them for a reason. So, and then this bottom one says require buyers to provide a payment method before making an offer, which is fantastic. And this is what happened to me last week. I had somebody messaging me saying eBay was a mess and they were glitching and that they needed to solve their software problems because she couldn't make an offer and blah, blah, blah. And I realized later, one, she probably either didn't match my buyer requirements, or two, she didn't provide the payment method in advance. That does not mean they're going to pay, though. eBay is requiring you put the payment method before the offer. Not everybody is in the program where they have to pay. Just remember that. Eventually, more people will be in that. And when you get your offers, you will see so-and-so has made an offer. You will receive your money within 4 days. Or buyer has selected a prepayment, whatever, you will receive payment instantly. So they're getting there. They are getting there. I know we all want to complain about the lack of instant payment on offers, but using these features will help, believe me. And then you can go up to the top to the blocked buyers. And I should probably cover these up. These are my blocked buyers. And I add to it because they've either been rude to me or they've multiple not paid or whatever. Or they keep dinging me with $1, $2 lowball offers and telling me things. And I just decide I don't want to deal with you. So you're my blocked buyers. Okay, so these are all of these on your buyer requirements. Now, I want you to see that there's another way to see your block buyer list. It's right below it. Managing who can buy from you, block buyer list is also right there. So there's two places that you can find it. So this is something that has been really, really helpful to me is to automate things such as canceling listings when people don't pay and having buyer restrictions so that you don't have situations where people aren't buying. And if they've done it in the past, then you would have known that. Okay, here's the one more thing that I would like to point out. Okay. When you're back in this seller dashboard, there's manage communication with buyers. One thing that I have a personal pet peeve about, and if you do it this way, I'm sorry, that's fine. But people are always giving advice on how they handle situations. And I hear stories about how once they sell something, they send a thank you very much for your purchase. I'm just awaiting your payment and I will send this out as soon as possible. And they send this little message. Some of them have them pre written, but they send them out to the person if they've bought something and haven't paid. Or, oh, if after a day I don't receive a payment, I send this little message. I have it all written out and blah, blah, blah. And this is what I say. Guess what? I don't send anything to anybody. I am of the generation where we get too many emails. You know, we are parents, we are community members, we get too many emails. I'm sorry, too many emails. I really detest that eBay sends me an email every single time I list something. I know, I just listed it, okay? So, we get too many emails. eBay sends all those emails for you, you guys. eBay sends nearly every email that you could possibly want. You don't have to send emails. So this is communications with buyer. It says right up here, there's no toggle over here, you guys. Buyer wins auction. The buyer success email lets your buyer know that they have won the item and the next step is to pay. You don't need to send them one more email saying, hi, I'm so glad you bought this item. It's packaged up, ready to go. You don't have to do that. I'm sorry, but you don't have to do that. Buyer checks out. Same thing. Order confirmation email thanks your buyer for their purchase and tells them where to go for details on their purchase. Order is updated with shipping information. Once you mark your item as shipped, we'll send your buyer an order update with tracking information. I get requests from buyers every now and then. Will you please send tracking information as soon as you ship? eBay does it automatically. Occasionally on those people, I send it to them again. I say, you should have already received this from eBay, but here you go. Here's your tracking information. You do not have to be that person that sends them another email. Hi, John here. Just shipped your item. Here's your tracking number. You should receive it by Tuesday. I get the personal touch. I really, truly do. But you don't need to do it, in my personal opinion. If you have a client base, if you have people who buy frequently from you, you know, Carol is so excited that you got some new pepper shakers, salt and pepper shakers. You can send Carol a message. Carol, thanks so much for buying more salt and pepper shakers for me. I've got these ready to go for you tomorrow. That's different, okay? Next, if your buyer hasn't left feedback after a month, they will send them a feedback reminder. This is a huge, huge pet peeve of mine to send out feedback reminders. Hi, I just left you feedback. I'd really appreciate it if you left it for me too. I do not ever, ever request feedback from my buyers. For one thing, no news is good news. And if I'm bugging them and asking them, soliciting for feedback, I'm afraid of what it might say. Sorry. I offer great customer service. I ship exceptionally well. I ship quickly, and I stand by my products, but I'm not going to beg for feedback. Here's the one you can toggle, and this is what I utilize. If your buyer hasn't paid after a couple of days, you can choose to have us send a payment reminder if your buyer hasn't paid after a couple of days. Do you want to send a payment reminder to your buyers? Yes, let eBay do it. I cannot keep track. I'm sorry. If there's things that have not been paid for, I'm not going to keep track and go send out like a 1 day, a 2 day, a 3 day reminder. I'm not going to do it. It's just not in my brain bank. It's just not something I want to do. eBay will do it automatically for me if I let them. Great. Let eBay do it. Okay? And then over here, it says need to send an invoice. Most of the time, you don't need to send an invoice. However, if your buyer requests one, you can send them an invoice, and then you just do that underneath each individual item. I send invoices when someone has bought multiple items. Then it allows me to make a shipping reduction possibly there and maybe throw in a quick note. And then down here, you can just see what your buyers can then communicate with you, like share your phone number. Select no. If you have a business and you want your phone number there, great. But I've heard of some people being really surprised that they've gotten a phone call or a text from a buyer and they had no idea why that happened. Select no right here. This was interesting. I also learned something today on this see answers to your fax. So if you go and you edit that, you can see the answers to your fax. And you can go through and see most of them are going to be canned eBay responses based off of your business policies. But for example, I ended up adding one because it says they don't have a combined shipping topic for me. So I went through and I just wrote one quickly because that is one of the most common things I get is combined shipping. So I have decided to add a little note about how I would handle combined shipping. It's not cut and dry because not everything's calculated shipping. So my combined shipping rules don't always work, especially if things are flat rate. So I did add another question here and I said how you can handle the combined shipping. So I learned things today while helping you hopefully learn some things about eBay's seller preferences, buyer requirements. Business policies is another one that's a whole other can of worms. I talked briefly that you can do some things in business policies. Maybe I'll do another video later on how to set up business policies. But just these features under your seller preferences or site preferences can really help your business. The number one thing it does for me is it just frees up my brain space. I'm sorry, but I can't micromanage things that much. And this makes it so I can't. It also, I think, makes you look more professional because things are coming from eBay. They're not coming from you. And if you have less than professional, writing style or grammar and you're sending these little please pay me messages, it just doesn't look as professional. Let eBay do the work for you. We pay them 13%? We pay them the money. Let them do the work for you. Okay, I hope this all made sense and I hope you learned some things. And I had a lot of fun kind of learning things myself. It's things that I've been learning over the past few years that I have been a full-time reseller or full-time part-time reseller on eBay. I will add one of my quotes of the week. So for my wonderful women quote, today I'm recording on my laptop, so things aren't backwards. Look at that. I like to be a free spirit. Some don't like that, but that's the way I am. Princess Diana. All right, so this video was all about like how to use rules and regulations in your advantage, but I do like to be a free spirit. I like to do things that are a little bit different. I told you some things in this video that are maybe contrary to what you've heard before as advice, and I hope it helped you, and let me know. Make a comment below and tell me if you have some tips for other people in the bottom as well. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Keep on reselling.